Needless to say, President Trump's confirmed case of coronavirus spells a whole lot of uncertainty all the way around, as, of course, the health uncertainty, but also the political uncertainty, as it remains unknown how long the president is going to have to stay off the campaign trail with just 32 days remaining until the election.
That's right. So author, president, founder of Solidarity Strategies, former senior advisor for the Sanders campaign, Chuck Rocha, and co-host of the Realignment podcast, Marshall Kosloff. They join us now to discuss where this campaign is headed. It's good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Great to see you guys.
Here.
Yeah, I mean, Chuck, let's start with you. So 32 days, that means at a minimum, Trump is going to not be on the campaign trail now for 13. So that leaves not that many days to campaign for the presidency. On a campaign level, let's talk about, what damage is this going to do in the final sprint as a campaign operative and veteran yourself?
So what it does is it takes him off the campaign trail. Now, lots of reporters will be like, oh, my God, big impact. He's not on the road. He's not doing rallies. But look, at the end of the day, from a strategist, from a pragmatist, from somebody who actually runs campaigns, these rallies really don't. And keep in mind, it's the Bernie Sanders guy saying this, and Bernie will kill me, but it's just the truth. The rallies really don't mean that much. They're good for press and local press, and that's what really the coverage of the rally in the local media is the only thing that really matters. There's nobody watching a Donald Trump rally going, I'm undecided and I'm going to watch that rally and now I'm going, no. But what it does do is when you go to a local small town in Wisconsin, it helps gin up that base. And Donald Trump has doubled and tripled down on base turnout and trying to find a way to motivate new people who look like his base to actually show up. So he turns them into GOTV opportunities. But again, only through the local media lens. There's nobody showing up at these things going there undecided. So will it have some effect? Yes, but I still think it'll be minimal.
I want to get Marshall in here, but real quick first, Chuck, you bring up you were on the Bernie Sanders campaign, a top advisor there. Obviously, the senator had a major health scare on the campaign trail. What was that like? How did you adjust the campaign? How did the staff process that? Just take us through what that moment actually looks like in reality.
It was one of the hardest things I'd ever had to deal with. And I write about this extensively, and there's a whole chapter in T.O. Bernie because I wanted to share the experience that I couldn't talk about in real time. So some of the things were like the ways that the press dealt with it and trying to insulate our staff to protect them. I went into kind of mama bird role and wrapping my arms around 1,000 staffers going, he's going to be okay. Everything is fine. I talk about a really intense staff meeting where I started crying, trying to explain what was going on, what was happening in the hospital. So because there were these reports coming out of the press that he might have died, he had this massive heart attack. So we were trying to do protection in real time around a catastrophe that was happening. So inside this campaign right now, there is no doubt there is nothing but a bunch of chaos.
Marshall, let's have you weigh in here. What impact down the road do you see that this is going to have? Obviously he's off the campaign trail. I think also, to Chuck's point, just having a major health scare is bad. It just reminds people maybe of your age, despite the fact that Biden is also quite old. It means you're going to be out of the spotlight. What dynamics are we not seeing here about how this race could change?
The problem here, and this is what's in every single poll, that there's a set of voters who are always going to support President Trump no matter what. And those voters who are undecided right now, I don't really see them changing because this isn't like a heart attack per se, right? This is a COVID-19 diagnosis, which in many cases, obviously in most cases, the vast majority of cases, doesn't lead to death. So if nothing really happens and he simply has to campaign the way Joe Biden's campaigning, I don't really think there's going to be that much of an actual issue. But to Chuck's broader point, though, I think that in a normal campaign, the whole idea of whether or not these rallies really matter would be different. But in this case specifically, what's so important for these rallies for Trump right now is the energy that they're supposed to project, especially after this sort of middling debate performance that was basically a wash for Joe Biden. So it just adds more uncertainty, which is what Trump doesn't need right now.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Marshall, there's a lot of conspiracy theorizing online right now, all the way around. But a lot of people on the left are wondering, is he faking this as some way to distract from the debate, bad debate performance, and keep him from having to do another debate performance? And look, I don't put chicanery past this president, but recalling the way that they aggressively on the right went after Hillary Clinton forever appearing unwell and just the type of germaphobe he is, it doesn't make sense to me that if he was going to concoct some scheme to try to throw chaos and throw a loop into the presidential contest, that this would be it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, too many people are constructing conspiracy theories that A, well, it couldn't be pulled off in the first place, but B, don't even actually make any sense. Because look at Trump's base. Like, this is a president who didn't wear a mask in public for months because there's a sizable portion of the Republican Party's base that doesn't have that political appeal in the same way that Joe Biden doing so. So I don't know what he would gain by that. I think in a weird way, he's looking forward to debating Joe Biden again. I think he enjoys being in that sort of format. I think there's a part of him that thinks he's one sort of attack away from having Joe collapse. So, yeah, I just don't think that there's any reason why that would be the conspiracy they would choose.
Yeah, I think that's broadly right. I mean, and I guess, Chuck, in terms of the media and so much of what's happening here, I just think that this adds an injected level of chaos, which is inherently good for Biden, right? And I mean, I hate to say it, we have to break it down and look at it politically. That is what it does. It's like the markets are crashing because of coronavirus, the Trump diagnosis. Now the president might have to give a primetime address where he apparently, reportedly, and this is confirmed by the White House, experiencing mild symptoms. And in a strange way, like, even though this is an event which, you know, should probably gin up sympathy, the fact that it injects so much chaos into our system, that generally seems to help Biden overall.
That's true. And if I took you inside of the strategist mind on what we're doing across the country right now to try to elect Joe Biden and Democrats and progressives around the country, I've spent the last 2 months sending mail pieces and ads to undecided, persuadable Latinos in 5 battleground states talking about, because it's the number one issue in focus groups, about the COVID recovery and what is Joe Biden's plan to make your life better and to get us out of this COVID disaster. Well, guess what I started designing this morning? The second to last piece of mail that said Donald Trump can't even protect himself, much less you and your family, from catching COVID, after I had already built the narrative leading up to that he had been failing in that process. Now I have a real-time result with him himself. I can put on the front of the cover of the mail piece saying it's failed, and he continues to fail as I'm trying to find something motivational to get folks to show up at the polls in November.
Right.
Yeah, and look, that's brutal, and let's just acknowledge it feels crass when, you know, we're talking about the president's health, to analyze it through a political lens. But the reality is the election is a month away, and there are a lot of critical issues at stake. So we have to acknowledge that and do our best to figure out what the implications are. Gentlemen, stick with us. We're going to have more with our panel just after this.